So on that note, John, and thanks for coming again, by the way, should we be thinking about humanitarian pauses in the context of hostages? Because you referenced, the last time the Prime Minister agreed to some, it was to allow hostages out. Or are there other factors, getting more aid in, et cetera? I mean, how should we be thinking about this? Because every time it's happened so far, it's for the hostages alone.
I would recommend you think about it in terms of all of the above. I mean, obviously, one of the most urgent, pressing needs is to get the hostages, to get their release secured, get them back with their families. That's key priority. But it's also a priority to get aid in, and also to allow for people who aren't hostages to find a way out of Gaza, or ways out of Gaza. So it's all of the above, but the key focus right now is definitely on hostage release.
So is the lack of humanitarian pauses a factor in why hundreds of Americans are still stuck there?
There are lots of complicating factors to the earlier question I got about why we haven't seen more movement over the last 24 hours. And the need to be able to cross Rafah safely without fear of coming under fire is certainly one of those factors.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on that hostages, Israeli government sources tell ABC News that Israel won't accept the release of 10 to 15 hostages, that it wants a bigger group, close to 50. Is that a position that the White House agrees with?
I am not going to negotiate in public.
Can you talk a little bit more about what demands Hamas is making to release these hostages? What is being asked for? I know you're not in direct contact. Any guidance you can give on what?
Again, I'm really not going to get into negotiating it in public. We have a way to communicate with Hamas. We're using that way, and we're doing everything we can to get these folks back with their families. But I think you can understand that I could be putting all that process at risk if I start talking about the negotiating stance of one or another partner in this.
And just any sense of proof of life, that anything you can give us as far as how you would know that these hostages are alive right now?
I am not aware of any specific proof of life for specific hostages, to include the small number of Americans that are still being held hostage. We don't have any indication to the contrary that they aren't still alive, and so we're certainly operating under that assumption.